Good morning and thank you for coming. This is the June 2nd update from the Tantalon wildfire site here in the Halifax Regional Municipality, and it's 9 a.m. I am Dave Meldrum, a Deputy Chief with Halifax Regional Fire and Emergency. With us today we have David Steeves, a Forest Resources Technician with the Nova Scotia Department of Natural Resources and Renewables, and Corporal Guy Tremblay from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. On behalf of Halifax Regional Fire and Emergency, I offer an update. Yesterday we had a very busy day. At peak burn time, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we had simultaneous events here in the operational area in Tantalon, as well in other regions of our municipality. As was expected, the fire conditions were accelerated yesterday by some fairly severe weather, which David will give us some technical information on. What I can tell you is our municipal fire crews, along with our partner agencies and other firefighters from other municipalities, were working very hard in this operational area with many flare-ups. And they were suppressing those flare-ups with our partners, protecting structures and preventing spread of this fire within the perimeter. As you will know, there were also fires in other parts of our municipality. We had a very large fire on Coburg Road in Halifax, and a tragic fire on an iconic building, the Wagwaltic Club. We had a lot of apparatus and people there. We had 10 fire apparatus, or big trucks there, 50 firefighters, and in fact more than 20 of our newest employees, who technically are still recruits. They've completed 4 months of training, and they are to graduate very soon. So they were in attendance as well. We had a fire in Prospect area, St. Margaret's Bay Road. That was significant, with 10 apparatus and a large number, approximately 40 firefighters there. That fire, in our jargon as municipal firefighters, is considered out, but our crews are checking that area again today. We also had a fire in Perrin Road, Fall River. A lot of resources went there as well, and again, from a municipal perspective, that fire is out. However, we are checking those areas. We did a general call for a return of firefighters yesterday because our resources were strained. And our firefighters answered that call, and they came in. They actually came in and responded to the extent that we had all that we needed to fill this operational gap that we had, and we were able to cover the city safely and effectively. Thank you to our firefighters and our allied firefighters and partners for yesterday. It was a busy day. It was a tough day. It was a hot day. A lot went on. They came and they protected the municipality, and we thank them and we're very proud of them. Last night, our firefighters and firefighters from the town of Truro were here patrolling this district and again maintaining structural protection here in the Tantalon wildfire site. And no major incidents or unusual occurrences were reported from the overnight hours. Today, we are working on this scene. We're back with a large number of units. We have more than 100 municipal firefighters from many municipalities. As I indicated, there are firefighters here now from Truro. There are also firefighters here now from the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. So we really appreciate this assistance that we're receiving. More than 100. 9 more firefighters from the Department of National Defense are here. We're planning to bring 8 engines here to this site today. In fact, they're here. 14 tankers, check my notes, 8 engines and 14 water tankers, and of course the 2 large brush vehicles from the Department of National Defense. So we're here again, we're going to keep working this fire, and we're not going away until this thing is contained and then under control. David?
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Steeves. I'm a forest technician with the Department of Natural Resources and Renewables. Yesterday was a tough day for the folks on the line. It was hot. It was relatively windy at times, but through the hard work and dedication of the firefighters on the line, the command team that we have here, we were able to hold things from getting out of control. So there was some minimal growth in area yesterday, but that being said, we do not have any accurate mapping as to how much that was yet because of operational requirements, so I'll have to get back to you with a number on that. The fire behavior that we had yesterday wasn't something that was unaccounted for. We had an understanding that this could possibly happen. The issue was all of the other additional issues that sprang to life yesterday that Chief Meldrum touched on. We had to reroute a lot of our resources in order to address that, but we did. And we did so in a manner that kept things from spinning out of control on the main body of the fire. So today we are continuing to focus on structure protection. We are continuing to put in our guards. We are continuing to patrol those other areas of concern. We have 40 DNR firefighters on scene. We have 11 excavators on site, 3 dozers who are actively putting in guards, working with department staff to get those in quickly. Our containment has not increased. We are still at 50%. Which is still a very good place to be at. Today, we are hopeful that we are going to be able to make some ground. The rain the precipitation that we got this morning, while it was very welcomed, will really only hold us for a number of hours. It wasn't enough to really be significant, but what it'll do is it increases the moisture level in the area and will keep our spread rates from getting too out of hand, and it will decrease the intensity of anything that our firefighters run into. So anyway, that being said, that's a quick brief. I'll turn that over to my colleague.
Morning everyone, bon matin tout le monde. I'm Corporal Guy Tremblay, Public Information Officer for Halifax District RCMP. This morning, as we hope for more rain, I'd like to offer a few reminders. Our officers remain actively patrolling those evacuated neighborhoods, and they are manning those checkpoints. If you have information in or around evacuated areas in regards to suspicious activity, we ask you to contact police or Crime Stoppers. In regards to the evacuated zones and the area around them, please stay away. As fire services mentioned, fire trucks are coming in and out constantly out of these zones. It's imperative that we give them the most room possible. As well, the airspace remains restricted. That means no drones out there. It's very important that they stay grounded. Lastly, I'll touch on scams as I did throughout the week. There could be rental scams out there, those evacuated or those who may have lost their homes. You may be looking for rentals, and there are rental scams out there. Insist on viewing those properties in person before providing any deposit. Never give a deposit before you view the property in person. Alors en français and French, ce matin on espère pour d'autres pluies aujourd'hui. Avec ceci, je vais offrir d'autres recommandations pour le public et d'autres points à se rappeler. Nos policiers patrouillent activement tous les secteurs évacués. Ils sont toujours au point de contrôle. Et si vous avez de l'information en ce qui concerne l'activité suspicieuse à l'intérieur des zones ou à l'extérieur, s'il vous plaît, contactez la police ou bien échec au crime. En ce qui concerne l'espace aérien, l'espace est restreint. Ne pilotez pas vos drones, gardez-les par terre. Pour les zones évacuées et à l'extérieur des zones évacuées, les pompiers ont mentionné, les camions de pompiers et les services d'urgence rentrent et sortent des zones souvent durant la journée. On demande au public de rester loin du secteur et de leur donner tout l'espace requis pour faire leur travail le mieux possible. Dernier point, pour les fraudes cette semaine, on a mentionné beaucoup de choses. C'est possible que les locations, il y a des scams, des escroqueries de location. Alors, insistez, allez visiter des propriétés en personne. Ne donnez jamais de dépôt à l'avance et évitez d'être victime. Merci. I can take questions in French. Je peux prendre des questions en français aussi. Thank you.
Are there questions this morning?
Yesterday, the mayor spoke of a couple of incidents, someone burning leaves with a blowtorch, someone that built a bonfire. He didn't specify if those were in RCMP controlled areas or in city police controlled areas. Do you know, has anyone been charged in those incidents?
I am not aware if anyone has or has not yet been charged. We've been working really hard at this site, and kind of our focus is in here. I don't know if Corporal Tremblay has any information or not.
So in regards to the other fires yesterday, some of the fires were within RCMP area, police areas, and some of the fires were within Halifax Regional Police areas. In regards to fines specific to those fires, I don't have that information with me. I am aware that this week officers throughout the province have issued 10 summary offense tickets in regards to starting fires or being seen near a fire or going into the woods.
That was
10, yes. I don't have the details in regards to exactly where throughout the province, but that's the total amount we are at this week.
While you're there, are we seeing suspicious activity inside the fire zone? Are there reports of people going in there?
We don't have any reports of suspicious activity. However, we have been receiving many comments through social media that there are thefts, but we have not received any reports. So if you have information, please contact police, contact Crime Stoppers. You can remain anonymous through Crime Stoppers. You can attend a police station. You don't have to provide your name. Certainly provide that information to us. If you see people going into the woods, call the police, call Crime Stoppers. So far, no reports of suspicious activity. Our officers are out there actively patrolling all neighborhoods that are evacuated.
We're hearing there might be looting? I don't understand.
So we receive comments on social media, right? So we are seeking information from the public. We have not received any information to date. So if you have information in regards to any possible thefts or any other suspicious activity, please contact police.
This question might be for Deputy Chief or for Steve. Are we seeing structures of homes actively burning right now in this Tantalon fire, or is it what is the situation today?
My understanding from our firefighters that I'm talking to, they're really working to prevent any additional structure loss, and they're doing very, very well at that. So they're working hard on flare-ups that are involving, wooded areas, brush, scrub, trees, of course, and preventing those fires from growing to the extent that they will harm more structures. Do you have any comment, Dave?
You know what the structure count is still at?
Yeah, the estimates are as they were announced, approximately 200 structures and 150 homes. That's the information that I have today.
So Halifax County in general is kind of known for its rocky terrain. And that being said, fire can hide in some pretty dark and dank spaces. So that's why this process is so very important. Structure protection is what we're focusing on. So we have to be very careful when we're evaluating an area, that we're looking in all the places that little amber can hide. So we're looking in rotten stumps. We're looking, under piles of moss. We're under big chunks of rock, because it can hide in there, and we can get a phenomenon of what we call holdover. So what holdover is after the fire passes through, those small little ambers hide. They're not where you're going to really see them, obviously. So you have to be careful, because they can sit in there for a really long time if the conditions are favorable, and just when you think everything's fine, they can come back to the surface and you can get a reignition. So that's why this process is so important. We have to make sure, in regards to the structure protection, that we are checking all of those little places where fire can be, and that's why we are getting those flare-ups in some areas, is because we are getting those little ambers that are just, they're stubborn. They don't want to go away. So it takes a lot of work and a lot of observation to make sure that when we leave an area, that area is actually safe and secure and that fire is out. So like I said before, we are going to be here for a little while yet.
Is there a particular area where the fire is growing? The growth you mentioned?
There were some issues up along the northern boundary, but it wasn't anything, like I said, we were not able to address. Our air resources were fabulous yesterday. The firefighters on the ground were heroic. Some of the things that they were able to do yesterday was just fantastic stuff. They worked very hard. Like I said before, Chief Meldrum and I have discussed on many occasions, morale is good. Morale is good. The firefighters are committed to working hard to see this through, and that's what we're going to do, and we will be here until we do not need to be here.
Given the conditions yesterday, is it understandable that more containment wasn't achieved?
Yeah, the conditions yesterday were very favorable for aggressive fire. We knew we were going to hit spotting potential. We knew in those areas where fire was hiding that the potential for those areas to reignite was very possible, which is exactly what happened. The science that we undertake every operational period led us basically to exactly what happened yesterday. And we did have the resources that we needed to address those. Things were tight at a couple of points because we had to reallocate in order to deal with some of the other issues, but everything went relatively according to plan yesterday.
Reallocate, what type of resources? Is that the air?
It could. It's situation dependent, right? So if it's something that personnel can deal with, if it's a situation that is too intense for personnel to deal with, then we will allocate air resources to make it safe for people to be in there.
But people have to leave here yesterday. So did we have to pull people from here for other situations?
I can't speak to specific engines and whatnot, but we did have to move some folks around to ensure we dealt with things before they got out of control.
So speaking of resources, is it possible, will it be expected to be possible to shift resources to the largest fire properties this week?
We have had a few staff here that have already been reallocated to what's happening in the other end of the province. But they are doing their very best. It is a very tough situation down there. The spread rates down there are extremely high. But like I said, the folks on the ground down there, the community spirit, they're doing their very best with the situation they've been handed.
An update on the arrival of the American crews or the additional sea ground forces?
I don't have any information on that. The last that I'd heard was that the American crews were going to be arriving the first of the week.
Environment Canada is saying there's a chance of lightning today. What are the concerns because it's so dry out right now for the crews that are on the ground and even in the air if we do end up with lightning?
Well, I mean, if lightning is an issue, obviously our air resources can't be up there for that. We do have weather specialists that are on top of all of those issues. So if we start getting lightning strikes in the air, our operational folks are going to take that into account, and we have to pull people off the line until things are safe to get back in there and re-engage, and that's what we're going to do. Safety of the people on the ground is what is the most important right now. The safety of those folks is important because they are working for this community. So the safer they are, the quicker folks are going to get back into their homes.
So there's word this morning that there might be a bus tour later this morning for people in this area that's been evacuated to get a first-hand look at the damage, I suppose. Are you able to speak to that and why that decision was made?
What I can say is I can confirm that some residents will be seeing their properties today. This is important, and we need to treat our residents with the greatest empathy and respect. Right? This is obviously very traumatic for them. So there will be an event. I will not have any other details today on that.
So no change to the evacuation orders?
There is no anticipated change to the evacuation orders at this time, as has been the case throughout this fire. Every day, the incident commander and the incident management team plan their operational cycles, and they talk every day, and I've witnessed this, about, okay, how can we reoccupy some neighborhoods? What can we do? What are the risk factors? And they know that there are thousands of people not at home. And they know that those Nova Scotians, those residents of HRM, are counting on them and us to get them back home as quickly as we can. But safety will be the primary consideration. And then when it's safe to do so, we will move as quickly as we can to get people back home.
It was extremely hot yesterday in the fire zone. How did the fire crews on the ground make out? Were there any injuries? Did any require any type of treatment?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it was a very hot day, extremely hot conditions for firefighters. So, I think first of all, I think about the structural firefighting that happened yesterday. When firefighters wear their protective ensembles to fight building fires and wear their breathing apparatus to breathe in, it traps all their body heat, all their perspiration in. So that was a very challenging scene that was managed well, not here. What I can say about this scene is, again, we had, well over 100 people working in tremendous conditions. We put protective measures in place. That'll be in place again today. So we're doing active cooling. We're providing ice water and personal towels that can be chilled. The St. Margaret's Recreation Center here has been fantastic, allowing our people to go in there and cool down. The rink still has ice in it, and the bleachers are a popular spot. I'll just wait for the noise. So I'll continue. And I can confirm, yes, 2 firefighters were treated for signs of heat stress yesterday. Thankfully, they were quickly recovered. So they were assessed by paramedics here on scene. They were assessed and given a care plan. They didn't require treatment at hospital. And for two folks to require that level of treatment on a day like yesterday with this many personnel engaged, I think is very, very good. And credit to those firefighters and credit to the operational bosses in all the sectors for taking care of those people.
Just about the many Halifax fires yesterday, is arson being investigated? I think people in Halifax were looking around and saying, what is happening? What is the cause of 11, 12 fires that happened yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely. So every fire in the regional municipality is investigated. Fires in the forest are investigated by the Department of Natural Resources and Renewables. Obviously, all structure fires are investigated by our team. They will be investigated, and if there are signs of suspicion in any fire, regional police and RCMP will be engaged.
Deputy Chief, you spoke about how busy it was for firefighters yesterday and calling in all these resources. Is this like the biggest response Halifax fires have ever had, or how does it?
This is certainly for a 24-hour operational period. This is definitely the busiest, if you will, or the most demanding from a resource perspective than any of us honestly can remember in recent memory. Yesterday was a big deal. We haven't done a general call for firefighters to come in. Honestly, I can't remember how long it's been. So yeah, very, very busy.
How strange was it to put the groups to do this before they do the graduate?
That is unusual. That is not our preference, trust me. The good news is these recruits have been undergoing very, very fulsome training for 4 months. So they're just about ready to graduate. In fact, hopefully we'll be able to have that graduation ceremony, that it's not interrupted by the work we're doing now. But they were trained, and this was a defensive fire. So they were actually staffing hose lines on the outside of the building and other work like that. So it was appropriate, but yes, it's very unusual.
I just, a lot of people woke up with a bit of rain this morning, with the rain coming. Can you kind of put in perspective, looking at the day ahead, what that means, or doesn't?
I'll give brief comment, and then I think David, who's got a higher level of technical knowledge, will add to that answer. But I've never been so happy to see rain as I was this morning, and I'm sure many people across the region feel the same way. It was great. It's going to help slow down fire spread today, but it's not enough. And you'll feel temperatures changing today. There's hopefully some cloud cover coming, but where there's an absence of cloud cover coming, we know evaporation happens quickly. Dry conditions can return very, very quickly. So it's great to have, it's not enough. David.
Yes, thank you very much actually for asking that question. It's important that the public knows that the precipitation that we had this morning is not enough to be really, really helpful in this particular situation. So the amount of precipitation that we had would have a small effect on the fine fuels. So basically what that means is the leaves and the twigs and the smaller fuels that are on the forest floor. But as you can see already, we've got some sun coming out. It's going to dry those fine fuels dry just as quickly as they become saturated. So the precipitation that we received this morning would buy us a few hours, but we will take that advantage right now. It gives us an operational advantage to be a bit more aggressive in some of the areas that maybe we didn't have that opportunity in previous operational periods. So we are going to continue to push forward in our attempts to move forward with containment. We are hopeful that we are going to receive additional precipitation, which will only help our cause. But that being said, what we got this morning will only buy us a matter of hours before we could possibly be back into a situation where fine fuels are really, really dry, and we could move back into the same scenario that we were in yesterday. So that being said, the winds have shifted. We have 15 to gusting to 25 today out of the northeast. So that isn't what we refer to as a drying wind, but still 25 km/h wind in fine fuels. If something is to reignite, could cause our folks on the ground some issues. So we are going to continue to monitor the weather very, very closely, and just keep our fingers crossed for any type of precipitation that's hopefully going to come our way before too much longer.
I just want to be clear because you didn't quite complete the answer to my earlier question.
Sorry?
Do you see resources being shifted from DNR down to Shelburne, or is that decision yet to be made?
That decision is, yet to be made. resource allocation happens on an operational basis. So tonight, our operations chief and the incident commander will look at the forecast. If by chance we do get an extended amount of precipitation, they will make those considerations. And if those personnel are deemed that they are not needed here, additional resources will be moved around, I'm sure. Those decisions are left up to Shubenacadie, but the on-site resource allocation, that falls down to the incident commander. So keep your fingers crossed for some precipitation, because I know folks want to help those people on the other end of the province, because they're in a tough spot.
And Deputy Chief, just to follow up on the tours being given to people, I've spoken to families that don't want to get on a bus with a whole lot of people. They want to go individually. Can that be accommodated?
So again, there is an event today. It's going to happen. We're going to do everything we can as a municipality to be respectful of our residents who are impacted by this awful, awful tragedy. I have no further details.
Question for Mr. Steeves, possibly.
Yes, sir.
In terms of air resources and support that's coming, which is very exciting news, and the effectiveness of a water bomber to knock down a fire with the ground, people just can't do it. Do you have any specifics on, for example, the water bombers coming from Montana? How many? Do you see them working here on this fire as well as the larger fire? Is there more information on this yet?
So as far as air resources go for here, what we have is working very well. So we currently have 5 helicopters and 1 CL-415. CL-415 is the big heavy water bombers. They came to us from our partners in Newfoundland, so we're very grateful. I do believe there is a number of bombers coming from the United States, and they'll be deployed to the southern end. So I know they do have a number of air resources down there already. Our partners in New Brunswick have allocated 8 802 bombers. They're down there. They have a number of CL-415s, and they are active. They are putting as much work into this as they possibly can to try to get a handle on things.
Do you know whether the water bombers from Montana are CL-415s?
I don't actually have the classification on that. I'm sorry. It would have to be a generalized assumption that they would be along the same classification as a heavy water bomber, but I'm not, because there are a couple of different ones. Yeah. Anything else, Chief?
So thank you very much for attending this update this morning. Again, our thoughts are with the residents here in Tantalon. We're hoping for more rain, that's a certainty. We will make ourselves available again at 5 p.m. today, and we anticipate continuing availability here on this site at 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. every day until we announce otherwise. Thank you.